today's episode on haptics. My name is Yulia Sion. I'm a researcher and industry expert in haptics and wearable technology. And today we will dive into this fascinating topic, the intersection of fashion and technology. And today I'm very thrilled to have Marina Toeters as our guest. Marina is a true pioneer in the field of technology and fashion design. Through her business, buywire.net, she creates synergies between the fashion industry and technical innovators. Marina collaborates with renowned organizations like Philips Research, Pulse Center, and various fashion designers to drive product development. She also teaches at the fashion department of the University of Arts Utrecht and at the industrial design faculty of Eindhoven University of Technology. And in 2019, Marina edited the book called Unfolding Fashion Tech, Pioneers of Bright Futures. And she also launched the Fashion Tech Farm. It's a studio, incubator, and a small-scale production facility for innovative fashion in Eindhoven, Netherlands. By the way, Marina, I read your book. I ordered it, and so I have your book. It's really great. And yes, but I didn't say hello because we kind of introduced each other already before that. But hi, Marina. Thank you for joining me today. I'm very happy to see you again because we've met in the past couple of times, but I'm really happy to see you here, and so we can have a very interesting conversation, which will be a bit different than I usually do in my previous conversations, because I usually focus just on haptics. But this time we are going to expand and talk more about this intersection of tech and fashion and about aspects of multi-modalities and multi-sensory experiences, not just haptics. So I'm very excited about this expansion of conversation. So if you don't mind, we can maybe start by talking about your path towards this career choice of yours, right? So how did you end up being in this field of tech and fashion? And if you don't mind, maybe you can talk about what inspired your interest in this field.
Yeah, I started off with a little bit more technical education in graphics and graphic design. And then I entered fashion education. In my second year, I found out that fashion pretends to be very much on the forefront and very much innovative and setting the trends. And while the actual product is not changing at all, so the materials where it's made of or the techniques on how the garments are coming together is so not innovative. At the same time, here in the Netherlands, we still had a rather interesting textile development industry and textile industry, really for the high-tech materials like maybe anti-ballistics or geotextiles or like really high-performance materials. Yeah, with high-tech companies like Philips, for example, around. It's a very much a knowledge-driven, a patent-driven industry here happening as well. And then me studying fashion design, while textile manufacturers are making the most advanced stuff, but that goes then into protective garments in the US or whatsoever. So how come that we are doing so less of innovative stuff in like what we wear on a daily basis? Well, it's such an important thing, and we spend quite a lot of money to like dressing up, and every morning again we think about what to dress up. How come that then it's not new at all? Our cars became much more energy efficient. They have protective airbags. They're driving themselves, and our phones took over so many tasks, and just garments stayed the same. So I was a bit frustrated by that, and I thought, how can we change that? So when I entered my master's studies, I decided to dedicate a complete year on researching how technologists and designers could better collaborate. And I did that via the means of really hands-on building these kind of visions. So together with a lot of different companies, we made innovative garments just to test out, and then from both sides. So very much at the application side, so brands or workwear company, but also from the high-tech side, or the material side. So at that moment, I already started collaborating with a very diverse range of companies, and really making proposals for the future tactile or a physical there. And that was 2016. 2007. So I graduated with that as my master's study, and actually it's exactly the same that I'm still doing. Yeah, really building pieces that can predict or help fashion forward, and also developing those kind of trajectories or those kind of technologies to really get mature.
Mm-hmm. So basically, you started integrating technology into garments quite early on, right? So it was almost somewhat right a decision from the beginning, right?
Yeah, I'm very much inspired by technical advances or technologies themselves, or I'm very, it really inspires me to see the newness and then try to find applications for that or reasons or relevance for those kind of things. So that, but also I also work from the other side, much more like a fashion-driven way on what are the trends or what are the needs or what are right now, and how can we facilitate that with innovativeness. And I work with 3 different kind of levels of technologies, if you like. So the e-textiles, where you really integrate electronics into garments, but then how
That
are these
actually
garments?
goes to my yes. I just want to kind of announce the direction because it's really much connected to the second question that I wanted to ask about the role of technology in fashion design in your particular process, because you mentioned you've been working on different use cases, right? And I assume depending on that, you integrate the technologies, but I'm still wondering what role does technology play in your design process? Basically, what do you see as the added value of integrating tech into wearable forms, into garments? Especially when we talk about everyday wear.
Yeah, I see many advantages that garments can way better take care of you, that they can protect you, that they can warm, that they can cool you, that they can. But of course, it should be unobtrusive, and it should be like seamlessly integrated. Maybe not even from like a production point of view seamlessly integrated, but much more from a social point of view. So yeah, the functionalities that it can have are in my opinion, are numerous. But for me, what kind of role that technology plays is also sparks my creativity. It really motivates me. But like technology is of course a huge word, so there is this ways on how you're going to produce things, how you're going to make your yarns, that they can be made much more environmentally friendly, or that we can make garments in a local manner. We're not going to sit all behind sewing machines anymore. I think that's a past era. So we have to automatize those kind of systems, and that's also technology. So, but in the end,
right, that's what I'm getting into, right? So, what is it for you, and especially when we hear this relatively new concept for many, right? Fashion tech or integration of tech and fashion, right? It's something. It's a new concept. It's a bit different than optimizing the production line, for instance, right?
yeah, true.
It's a different concept in itself. So what is it for you, and how do you see it? Or maybe you can provide your definition so that listeners can also understand what we are talking about here.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you are the side of the researchers and the vocabulary and the definitions much more than, and I'm much more at the side of the making, the hands-on, the building of it. And yeah, if you check my website, there you see numbers of examples on everyday wear, sports goods, workwear goods, medical goods as well. And I know that you refer much more to the everyday wear, but you see them dribbling down from these kind of more functionalized bits, while I'm treating like a treatment for example, Jonas babies. I treat that totally as a normal act of caring for someone instead of as a medical act. So we put that in a very ordinary looking romper, which is just an everyday garment, but then with an enabler so that, in this case, blue light therapy can be given to this baby. Also shirts or that can measure heartbeat or respiration. It doesn't have to look so much different as you and I currently look. And it's, so that are the projects and the processes that I'm busy with. And then the seamless integration into the society is much more, how do you do this usability? How do you communicate that there is something special, but not too special, because we don't want to look like a Christmas tree, which is maybe the first thing that you have in mind when you think of fashion tech. Then, well, there should be garments with lights or something. Yeah, that's nice for doing one fancy evening, but that's not what the everyday wear is focusing on.
So basically, like what you described, for me, it's about functional goals, right? Either for wellness or health perspective, right? Let's say like monitoring some parameters, body parameters, right? Or some treatment, right? Or posture, for instance, cues, providing posture cues. Are there any, let's say this is a wellness aspect, could be done for daily use, but it's still very functional wear. Versus when it's also my personal view on that, but when I hear fashion, it has something else also in it. It's about style, maybe individuality, things like that. So does technology help in that compartment or make it more different,
maybe.
or like, I don't know, make it better?
Well, there's a thin line between being stylish or wearing a gadget, and that is a difficult balance to find. So yes, you can easily, with a little bit of tech components, fancy things up, which is, of course, fancying things up is maybe a very fashion approach. For me, I use fashion principles like desirability, or if you position your pockets in the right spot, your ass looks better, or if you position them just a little lower, you're going to look more relaxed. So those kind of desirability and identity things, I use them, but mainly to promote that garments can be so much more functionalized than they currently are. So they can be
to promote the technical functional element, right? So, but technology integration is still more about function.
It's all about the relevance of garments. If the garment is only about identity, and then also fashion promotes this identity shifts, like even during the day or whatsoever, then we also totally promote the fast fashion industry. And this is something that I'm totally against. So I'm really trying to find back the relevance of garments and the relevance of fashion. So why would we take care of our garments? Why and how should we design it differently?
Yeah, we'll talk about the sustainability actually a bit later, which is good to keep in mind, that subject that we kind of started. But all right, so it would be nice if you could now summarize, because we already touched upon certain use cases, but maybe if you could summarize compelling use cases for integrating technology into garments, and maybe the most compelling use cases from your perspective, and maybe you could touch upon your current projects you're working on or recently finished.
Of course, we did a bit of a pre-discussion on this one. You were specifically also asking about, for example, the 5 projects, which I would love to dive a bit more in depth. So we're going to do that in a bit. I know that you're an expert in haptics, so I also told you that we do that we are doing more massage kind of things. Also, if it's going to end up in a medical or if it's going to end up in the well-being, that's still in discussion, and it's also much more a discussion on legal or a discussion on desirability than anything else. And there the fashion qualities come in as well again, but in a total different manner. And that's why I love being in this field with my still fashion education, while the notion of fashion is not so positive. And of course the one project that I'm working on a lot is I mentioned that already in between the lines. So it's Billy Home, which is a very ordinary looking romper for newborns that are suffering from jaundice. And these kind of things, like it just like feels and looks and as an ordinary romper. So everybody knows how to dress a baby up. So usability is so much more easy than with any like medical product. And that is where really my heart is, and where I can so I think that's for now the list.
All right, so then we'll also include the list for our listeners so they can check more details on the interesting use case and applications where fashion and tech go hand in hand. Yes, you already mentioned about the Vibe project. Maybe we'll jump to it, right?
Yeah.
Because, of course, I am interested in haptics a lot. It's my kind of field. So I'm curious if you could talk a bit more about this Vibe project. What was it about, and what role did haptics play in it? And what was the experience of people if you gathered that data?
Yeah. So we made a little collection of 20 pieces of interactive vests for a museum in Barcelona, immersive art museum. And the research topic was, how is art going to be perceived in the future? How are we going to motivate young people, Gen Z, towards musea, because the age is so high? And what is then again the relevance of musea? What can we give extra if we can also Google whatever we want to Google, and the feeling of a painting or whatsoever. So we made a very much a local enabled collection with integrated vibrators, in this case 2 little speakers and sensors that pick up different signals in the space. So every art piece that the person is approaching, you get a different kind of soundscape and then also tactile experience.
All right, so it was a vest, so the person could wear a vest, right? And you would approach with this vest to a painting, and depending on the painting, the sound will be different, and also the vibrations on the back, I assume, right?
Yeah, and we did
Would
it
they change the vibrations depending on the painting, or?
Yeah, so we made it together with a soundscape artist, Dunjan, from Barcelona. So they made the soundscapes, and we tried to translate it into a feeling. So, and it were not paintings, it were installations, so it was all rather abstract, but you really have a total different vibe when you go to the one installation and to the other. And the sounds are very soft. So you really force people to dive in themselves, which the haptics also stimulates a lot. It was very much a special experience, and also seeing the people walking in this space. So we could serve 20 at a time and the people are all in their own, well, not all of course, but most of them really went into their own zone, and it was super great to experience. And that's also what we got back from a lot of visitors. It was very much a location and a time-based experience. That was also one of the conclusions why people want to visit, for example, museum. Things in the outside motivate you to go inwards. That was the special take back here.
That's very, very, very exciting, actually, idea. How did you map sound and vibration to the actual art piece? What was the mapping?
Yeah, in this case, there were like 3 art pieces. Sound designers, were inspired by those the 3 different installations. So that was totally up to them. And then we tried to take some of the tones out into the mapping, and we had because of the 9 vibrators, we on the back and a little bit on the side. Yeah, you have quite a wide area to do something on.
You said 9 motors, right?
Yeah, so how the exact translation from sound to tactility happened, actually, I don't know it anymore. I have to look it up.
I was just wondering, were these vibrations different from the sound, or they were actually that sound but in low frequencies?
Oh yeah, no, it was not like one-to-one the sound. It was really in more an abstract shape, but they had some much more active sounds and much more mellow sounds. Yeah, it's also about the act of moving through the space, and you feel the difference. So it pulled with the vibrations, we pulled a bit more in the differences to really get an experience that you have this one art piece towards this other, because all the soundscapes were made by the same sound design collective, so they were a bit more alike. So we pulled it out of each other with the vibration rhythm.
And do you know the experience? Did you gather experience of the audience, of the participants, visitors, or various?
Yeah, not like on a research level, very well documented or very deep, but we had like hundreds and hundreds of visitors, also people coming back. So yeah, that gives a good impression. How well you feel the tactility is really, really personal. For us, the vibration was super intense. They really didn't feel anything. So I think the variety of how sensitive we are for tactile information is way more different than for audiotive information. That's at least what I think. Yeah, it's not my expertise. You know way better, I guess. Yeah, and couples that really moved together through the space. That one said like, oh, for me it was way too mellow, or I hardly felt anything. And then this other one was like, whoa. And then we were checking like, oh, is the system not working anymore? But then it was like really on, high power. Yeah, so that was.
Yeah, it's difficult. You cannot generalize with haptics on sensitivity levels. But
Yeah, and we had a lot of people, so it was just like next, so we couldn't adjust it accordingly to the people.
Right. Well, that's super interesting. I wonder if you could share a bit more on your design process. I know each project has its own design process and method, but you probably have your own, I would say, preferable methods and designs that you go back to. I don't know whether it's co-design or research to design or any methodology that you try to follow. What's your
Again, terminology for methodologies is much more on your side, but I love the iterative design process. So I'm making right away, like preferably already at during our first introduction or first talk. If it happens here in the Fashion Tech Forum, then we directly pick some materials out of it. Like, oh, if you talk about sports goods, are you talking about these kind of directions? Well, and if you do it with your finger, so again, there also comes a bit of haptics back. If you think with your fingers, then you are so much quicker into like the feel of this person who's asking the question, who might not have any idea about textiles or any idea about design, or because of this other background. Right away prototyping, making things hands-on, quick and dirty prototyping as well, like get the electronics in as quick as possible. So we have here in the space all the prototyping tools and soldering irons, and of course it's not functioning perfectly or doing its job right away, but they at least mimic like, okay, this is a bit how the feel could be, or this is a bit how the sizing could be, or this is a bit how the looks could be. Yeah, it's so difficult to talk that over in a sketch or in a while if you put it on a body, it's clear right away. So the embodied design methodology, so indeed putting it on a body, draping a lot is what I totally love and promote. Yeah, I'm also involved in projects that go way deeper and then opt for example medical device regulation or whatsoever. Then of course there comes a total different load on how to approach things, but still there also starting with the making process, starting with the usability, testing it out yourself is
one thing that, I mean, all of these things actually resonates with me, but especially the one that you said, we try to purchase electronics as soon as possible. I think that's very important actually in this type of stuff, that you really need to try it on your body as soon as possible, because it's so different from your sketches or brainstorming sessions on paper.
And we all have a body, so it's super easy.
It's true. It's true. I mean, our bodies are different, but still, you can actually, as a designer, you can actually use your body a lot in this case. Okay, so we have two more kind of topics that I wanted to cover. We don't have that much time, but we can try. So one question is, if from your perspective, like, what is the future of fashion tech, right? Or fashion in general, like, of course, in combination with technology. And I'm especially curious about this multi-sensory experiences, right? Fashion by itself is a tactile experience and visual experience, maybe an auditory, but if we integrate technology, then can we emphasize, or should we emphasize, based on the current trend, certain modalities, since certain sensory experiences are not Like, how do you see it?
Yeah, so I'm gonna also combine it with more the sustainability approach. The fast fashion industry has such an enormous impact, so we are really trying to grow the army to fight this system and opt for alternatives, deliver alternatives. And what I would love as a future perspective is that this neighbor person comes in and you see that maybe it's winking a little bit or whatsoever, and they get a cup of coffee and talk about what brings them here and what they would like, or what kind of daily experiences they had. They bring in their old textile goods and the machine starts running, and after that they get a new piece home with them, which might look exactly the same as the current one, but after a few weeks this person thinks like, I have the feeling that I have less back pain, so maybe there's a bit of hidden support in, maybe there's a bit of help in the garments, and those kind of subtleties, that is really what I'm working on, what I'm aiming for. And it comes not only with like indeed, and then the technologies are all enablers, so indeed sensors should be in, and maybe things will be more and less tight, maybe they'll react on the difference in outside and inside temperature, or the tense that they feel on the muscles or whatsoever. So that are all technicalities that you can measure with sometimes complex, sometimes super easy sensors. But it's not only about the sensing, it's about that what you do then with it, which kind of feedback you give, or what. So these kind of closed loop systems where you have sensing and activation, and that is something where I'm really working for in this very localized ecosystem where we try to reuse as much as possible. So that's or for me, I would like to close it off with this
Okay,
sentence.
I got it. The last question about the sustainability, is it, I mean, it is possible, but what is the current state in terms of reusing electronics that we use in the garments? Are they washable? Can we detach? How does this work?
Yeah, no, of course it's not an easy task. At this moment in time, at least in the Netherlands, we really talk a lot about recycling and circularity, but we managed to recycle like 1% of our textiles. And then we are talking not about electronic enabled textiles, it's just our everyday garments. We are only there in 1%, which is I'm so ashamed of that. But what you see is that people perceive electronics as much more an expensive thing, or a special thing, or they really should not be wasted. So it can also be, from that point of view, an enabler to promote that things should be recycled much more and much better. And also the way on how things are being produced. Now it's super easy to get it wherever from over the world, but the electronic companies, or they think there is knowledge in, so they don't want to produce it everywhere on the world. So then also the localized making of the garments are then becoming urgent, because there's some kind of integration step. So we are then motivated or even pushed into much more localized thinking. And so that's also what I see as a role of the tech, not only as problem solving, but also as a motivator to approach things way more local in a circular manner. That makes sense?
It does. It's a very complex process, right? Because it involves a lot of angles, right? It's about the process,
it's not easy.
integration of electronics, being able to, to recycle them in the right manner. It's about philosophical aspect, ethical, not even philosophical, ethical aspects. How do we approach these things? How will it shape our mindset, right? If we start having electronics, right now it's more of a unique thing, right? I mean, it's not an everyday use for now, but what if they become everyday use? The fashion with technology integrated in our garments, then hopefully we'll start valuing these pieces more. Or maybe they will become spendable, right? Because now we have them as cheap as we go to any store. So it's a question mark, and I really hope it will go into a more sustainable direction. There is a hope for that.
Totally question mark. How we do it now, it's not good. So we have to change, and we better develop alternatives for how we do it now.
Yeah, it's good to think about it in advance. But thank you so much, Marina. Really
you.
appreciate your time and sharing your expertise, your experience, your thoughts on this challenging and really exciting also topic.
Thank you so
Fashion and
much.
technology. So yes, thanks for your time.